Welcome to tonight's Hit the Bar, the Shrimps Fans Panel. We've got Liam back from last week, and then newcomers, we've got Gareth. Pleased to meet you, Gareth. Nice for you to join us. And Stuart, who many of you will know. First time on this, though. I'm going to start off by, I'm going to read you a story, children.
Excellent.
It's a story about a nasty man who did a very, very bad thing. I'm just going to read this one paragraph. With the benefit of viewing the replay, we can see there is contact between the players. However, the action of holding is neither sustained nor impactful. It therefore falls below the threshold for penalising, as it was not clearly impactful, particularly as the crew number 5 is still able to get the ball and has a clear shot at goal. The correct decision in this case would have been to allow play to continue with a Morecambe throw-in from the far corner. So there you are, confirmation. I think that was Foy, the referee. In the aftermath, Sky are doing, reviews of incidents that we've all seen. We all thought that was the case as well. We say the same every week. We're playing well, we think. It's just these little things, whether it's a goalkeeping error or, as on Saturday at Crewe, a penalty. Gareth, I'll come to you first. Are we being deluded? Are we being naive when we keep saying this? Or are the ones of us who still have the faith in the team and the manager, are we right? Where does the truth lie?
Well, I just feel like it just seems to be always Morecambe, doesn't it? We always don't seem to get the rub of the green. We don't get the 50-50s. I think everybody who was in the ground on Saturday, we didn't know why the penalty had been given.
I mean, the referee did a sort of motion to indicate that it was pulling, but...
I don't think for us to say it's unlucky. I think it's happened too many times now for us to keep saying, it's just it's just unlucky. It's just a poor decision. It'll be all right the week after, and then we'll get another poor decision the week after, or so it seems. And it just feels like at some point it's got to turn, hasn't it? Surely.
Derek says not though, doesn't he? And Stu, he says it doesn't necessarily always even out. He's of the opinion that bigger clubs get the decisions because the referee's not going to get as much flack during the week from their fans. On the other point, though, Stuart, do you think that we're still right to keep the faith in the team? Will it come, or are we just being deluded and naive?
I think on the basis of performances, and that's all we can judge the team on, you've seen a lot of, particularly in defence, I think we look a solid team. The frustration about Saturday and the goal we conceded is I couldn't really see how Crewe were going to score otherwise. So that we're struggling to score goals ourselves, but if you can't concede, then you're not going to lose a match, are you? And it just feels like the really big moments in games are totally going against us at the moment. Yeah. We're not getting. There was a couple of chances towards the end of that game, like a melee in the box, a couple of ricochets, clearances off the line. We're just getting the ball's just not falling to us at the moment. It's obviously a concern the longer it continues where we haven't scored a league goal and we're not picking up points, but it's still a long way to go, and we're just hopeful that things can turn sooner rather than later because there are positives within the performance. You could probably, I may be sounding deluded here, you can make points for getting points in most of the games so far this season. It's just, it's not happened, and it's got to happen sooner rather than later.
And the point you made about you couldn't see how the other team was going to score, that's the case. That's been the case in most games, hasn't it? Newport, I mean, apart from the mistake that led to their goal, Stuart Moore could have brought a deck chair and had a picnic, and that is a good point that Stuart makes, isn't it? That, while we're being solid in defence, we've just got to tweak that a bit and it'll come.
It's a great point. We've lost every game in the league 1-0. And if you go back and look at those 1 goals in every game, it's been a penalty from a bad decision, it's been 2 individual errors from a goalkeeper. Yeah. There hasn't actually been a goal where we can just sit back and go, oh, well, we've defended that terribly, or that's a really well-worked goal. Yeah. We haven't, and that's what you mean by being defensively solid. We are. Yeah. I'm very surprised all these 1-0s haven't been a 0-0, to be honest with you, because we look like we can get a clean sheet in most games we walk into. Yeah. The problem is, as we all know, is getting the ball into the back of the net.
But we have, in the last few games, Gareth, we've been creating more chances, haven't we? We've been nearly there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the only game I think this season where we've not looked like we're going to score was Walsall.
Yeah.
All the other games, I think we've had enough pressure. We just haven't. We've had good crosses from the wings, and we're getting people into the middle. We're just not getting It's got to go in off somebody's backside. I don't care how it goes in. It's got
the keeper's made an absolute worldie again on Saturday and the Newport.
It was a great strike from Angle on Saturday. But it's just the way it's going at the moment. I am still very confident we're going to turn this around.
Yeah.
Simply because of what I've seen over the last few weeks. We're playing well with the ball. We're passing it well. There's clearly a unity in the club. The players are working hard for each other. I think it will happen.
It's a difficult one to explain to people who's not been to the games, though, isn't it? Stuart, I have a mate in Australia, and he put a message on my thread, and he's like, "There's a lot of dross at the bottom of League Two." Now, I thought he was winding me up about Morecambe being part of that dross, so I had to go back, and I was like, that pleases you, does it? But what he meant was, it makes it easier for Morecambe to start climbing up, because there are a lot of teams who are struggling as well as we are, not quite to the extent that we are. But does that give you hope as well, Stuart, that once we do start picking up, we can leap?
Well, I think obviously Derek's spoken, hasn't he, in the media after the game? He's looking up to 14th. So something that we can get there straight away. I mean, I'd like us to score a goal first before we start progressing that far ahead of ourselves, or a league goal at least. But yeah, I think on the basis of what we've seen, you can see there's potential for us to put a run of results together. It's not just one result. I think we can get a few on the bounce, and that's what Derek alludes to in his post-match press conferences. He's obviously talking about decisions that we're not getting, and then also the opportunities that lie ahead of us, because I think one of the most impressive things about Saturday, yes, we didn't score, we looked solid at the back again, but we didn't look great going forward in the first half. He was able to use his bench, and I thought it made a real difference with his changes on Saturday. So we have actually I think we've got a deep squad and options to make and people to bring on that can make a difference, which might not have been the difference last year. I think that's where we struggled in large aspects of our season, but we have got potential, I think, this season to put some results together, and certainly, hopefully, when they start to come, move away from the bottom of this division, because that is ultimately a priority this season.
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, another good point about the bench. On Saturday, Dackers came on. We spoke last week about him probably already having an impact on the squad in Angol's performance at Wigan. Do you think he's somebody who might just be able to give us that impetus?
I certainly do. As we mentioned last week, we all like the look of him, just that intimidating factor of having a 6'7" kid who can, but he's great with the ball at his feet, as we know. It's not just that. When Stu speaks about the squad, James Wakefield said it on the Shrimp Trust podcast. What benefits having a smaller squad is they all know if you get into Derek's side, you're in Derek's side. He doesn't really have favourites.
No.
So as we say with Angle, he's kind of proven maybe in the past few games he's a better option than Hope. But then you've now got Dackers who's going to come in and do the same to it. It's like a domino effect, and Charlie Brown still to come back in. So I think that smaller squad is actually going to help us in the long run with the competition for places.
Because that is the thing about Derek, isn't it? He's if you're in, he made the point, and I think we've touched on it before, but he made the point, it's not my fault if you get suspended, if you have two bookings, and it's not my fault that you're injured. If somebody comes in and takes your position and he plays well, he's in there, whoever you are. Yeah. We saw it with Anthony O'Connor a couple of years ago. I think he expected to walk straight back in the side, but Reece Bennett and Bedell were brilliant at the end of it, and he does do that, doesn't he? He gives you a chance, and if you take it, you're in.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think when you look at the games coming up, Colchester at home, winnable, the big game at Accrington, this could all be a different picture in a couple of weeks.
Fleetwood, who started off with
a derby,
they've dropped points since, haven't they?
I'd like to think, when I look at the league table sort of end of October, I think then we'll have more of an accurate picture, because I think, yes, we're bottom of the league, and all my mates keep telling me, Morecambe are bottom of the league, it must be really bad. It isn't really bad. Anybody who's seen the performances would know that. But we've still now got to put the points on the board.
We have, because is there not a worry, Stuart, that that frustration that we're feeling at the moment, it doesn't seem to be getting to Derek or the players, but might that be a thing if we can't pick up the points in the next couple of weeks?
Well, I think it will start to become psychological, won't it, basically? You can't get over the line, you can't score a goal. I think we're the only team in the entire Football League that hasn't scored a goal, so we just need to get, even if we got that monkey off our back and lost another game, we need to do something that's progressive towards getting a result, basically. Yeah. Keep a clean sheet or score a goal. Two things we've not done this season. If we can start doing that on a regular basis, the results have got to come.
I think we're so absorbed by what's going on the pitch, and it has been interesting. I mean, we set another record. We must have set a record about the number of exactly the same results, probably any time in a season, never mind at the start. And it's not a record that we want, but I think we've been so absorbed with that, we've tended to forget just a little bit, about off-field and about the ownership issues. And I saw that somebody on one of the social media platforms was saying, the Fleetwood game is on telly. Let's make some sort of visible protest about the ownership. I don't think any of us really knows what's going on. Have you got any thoughts about it, Liam? Have you heard any whispers, anything like that?
I've kind of given up even thinking about it, to be honest with you. I think I got too involved. You're discussing it on social media, you're shouting this, you're shouting that, and you're trying to find all the rumours you can, to the point where it makes you feel deflated.
Yeah.
I think right now, personally, for me anyway, I'm solely focused on field problems. And then when it comes to the ownership, if I don't think about it, it's not a problem right now. But we all know it's terrible. The fact that the owner said, I think he said there was a bid and the sale would be 2 weeks and something like that. That was 10 weeks ago now. And since then, we haven't had a statement from the board, the owner, anything. So we are in the blind, but for me personally, I try not to think about it. I really don't.
Where are you at with it, Gareth?
Well, there was a spell when I kept checking my phone every day, thinking it's happened.
And you think there's going to be an announcement, and then it's a player comes in, which is great.
Yeah. And then I got to the point, a bit like you were saying, Liam, where I've not been checking my phone. I'm just hoping one day I come out of work and put my phone on, and it's we've got to take over.
Yeah.
But I don't know anything other than what you guys know. It's with the EFL.
And that's the frustration, isn't it, Stuart, that we don't know, because the people who would be the types to tell us possibly don't know either.
Well, it's from start to finish. It's been a lack of communication from the owner and to a certain extent the board, but not as much as the owner, and just a lack of information. I think the board are frustrated, to be honest, in themselves that they don't have the full, complete picture. It's just a lack of updates. The club has been for sale officially for 2 years, but longer than that now. We don't seem to be any closer to a sale now than we ever have been, as far as we're aware. There's just the speculation that is discussed amongst fans is that there's been a bid accepted and it's going through the EFL, but there's been previous bids that have been accepted and they've never been
and you
by
just
the
wonder
EFL.
on that, if it is. I mean, we know Sabjot's been hanging around the scene, and he's sort of tried to make bids in the past. And you just wonder whether it's something like that, whether the bid's coming in not from him, but there's still a suspicion that he's involved somewhere. And that's what I've been thinking, because we know that Jason's had to borrow money over the summer period where we've not got the income coming in from games to pay the wages. Now, if he's been getting that from somebody connected with Sabjot, if Sabjot or somebody related to him or associated with him buys the club, he's probably not going to have to pay that money back. But if somebody else comes in, whatever they're bidding, some of that is going to have to go to pay. Yeah, that's just me. 2 and 2 probably making 7, but it would stack up logically, I think. But anyway, it's frustrating. Hopefully we can get a resolution to that. Hopefully we can get our first league goals and wins, and we can be talking next week about 3 points on the table at least. Meanwhile, we've got things like this from the referees. I think we can probably paper the dressing room walls with all the apologies about things like that. It's frustrating, but at least we know that it is, we're justified in what we think about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So wasn't the 1 year when we didn't have one penalty, or we had,
so I think it was like 14 months or something.
When we got a penalty.
So
we were getting them against us for players sticking his leg out and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's very frustrating. But,
it's all frustrating at the moment.
And even with the ownership, all I want is somebody to come in and just steady the club. We know we're not going to get somebody to come in who's going to throw money at the club, and that's fine. I just want the wages paid every month. I want the staff to feel happy. I want the club to feel positive, and a settled club. That's all we want, really, isn't it, going forward? So we'll hear soon, hopefully.
I just fear that we're regressing as a club. I think after so many years of progression, it just feels like we're teetering now to. We could quite easily fall back, basically. And it'd be such a shame, because obviously when you think back to getting season ticket holders of about 600-700 people, and now the home crowds that we get we're
really good.
we're unrecognisable as a club on and off the field in so many ways, and we just need a stable ownership situation that can enable us to build basically, or at least be sustainable, basically sustain what we've got.
And the Shrimps Trust, I think you organised a coach on Saturday, and that was full, was it? So very much. So.
Yeah, we're trying to just create that confidence where if somebody wants to go to an away match, there's definitely going to be a coach guaranteed, just to build the fan base. And even if we have to take a little bit of a hit in the first season, if we can get 30 to 35 to 40 regulars, it's only got to be good for the club moving forward.
Brilliant. Well, you've heard it there. Hope we can report on better times on the pitch and certainly off it in the not too distant future. But for now, that's it for this week. Join us again next week. Cheers.